Hi everybody, it's me, Jen Hamilton.
I'm Evan Keller.
We just keep changing it up. I like it. This is our next topic in our video series. It's entitled Child Advocacy, Strengthening Wraparound Services. Many of you have already heard that term, wraparound services, because that's what many agencies do. And my quote for this one, I always think of Finding Nemo. How many people have seen Finding Nemo? And the part with the sharks, that fish are friends, not food. That's what I think about when you're talking about partnering with other agencies and getting those wraparound services that families need. Fish are friends, not food. Remember that. So we've got a lot of community partners just within our area, and I know some people that might be watching this might think, well, we live in rural areas, and it's a lot harder to find those community outreaches. And that's where I challenge you to maybe think outside the box again. And so yes, in those rural areas, like maybe you don't have that many community partners, but don't forget about like maybe the police department in the local area and what services like the victim advocacy has and things like that. So again, there's just those little things that maybe people might forget that, like, oh yeah, they're there to help us, they're there to support us as well. You really want to take the time to increase the wraparound services instead of duplicate. Kind of like we discussed in one of the previous video series. You don't want so many people just knocking at one person's door, trying to offer the same services over and over again. It gets redundant and it doesn't work. So I think an example that I could probably have about the community networking that we've done here is not even something that I completed myself. It was a community partner that called in and just said, hey, I happen to be over at City Hall. Do you have a moment for me to come over and like introduce myself? Great, come on over. And they came on over. They had updated everything in their services brochure, provided us with new brochures, kind of explained more of their services and some of the stuff that they've done to increase what they do there. And that's when I invited them to say, hey, I think somebody like you would be great to have on our carry team, because we don't have somebody like you. You say you have child advocates, you have people who do children's therapy over there. This is resources I didn't know we had in the community. And so then taking that there, so if we ever have a family or a child that's in need in that situation, we can utilize them. And in fact, we have utilized them on several occasions, and we've got several people now working with them based on the needs of that individual or that family. And the collaboration has just increased tremendously just by one simple person coming over and saying, hey, and it didn't have to be me. Right. It was somebody else. And I really appreciated that. And I think another aspect that we think about with strengthening the wraparound services, I think about DCFS, especially because I used to work for them. And if you're a CPS worker, a child protective services worker, your cases are supposed to be 30 days. Sometimes they get extended based on caseloads and things like that, and some of the extra investigations that you do. Sometimes you can't find a parent to talk to. It takes a little longer, but generally their cases are supposed to be about 30 days. And then they close the case. What happens to a family after the fact? If there might not have been enough to support a case, but you've definitely started to see a pattern, because this is like the third case that they've had unsupported for a similar situation. Well, that's when CPS can reach out to their local child advocate and say, hey, I'm recognizing a pattern in this family. They might need some other resources. They said they were interested in it. And while that we provided them some, it might not be exactly what they're looking for. Would you mind reaching out to them? And I think the important piece there is talking about the longevity of a case. 30 days and up, they might need more support than 30 days, but doesn't qualify for an open DCFS case. That's fine. Have them come to me. I think the biggest piece that people forget is in a police agency, you look at our victim advocates and they have how many open cases, because when a case goes through court, it doesn't just get up and done in 30 days. Yeah. Cases can extend for long periods of time, unfortunately. And so a child advocate in that respect can actually take a case on for a little bit longer of time because of those supports and resources. And that doesn't mean that they're taking on a full case per se, but they're actually just the one coordinating and supporting the family while we're finding those wraparound resources. There's a family out there that we've been working with for years, and I think that had they not figured out that there was, I don't remember exactly how it happened, but I believe it was an officer that contacted me, and had they not realized that, oh my gosh, hey, look, we have a child advocate, we wouldn't have gotten those supports and those resources set in place in motion for this family without it.
You know, I think I want to play off of Jen's comment about fish are friends, not food, because like we have a horrible tendency, I think, within agencies and between agencies to eat our own and everybody else. And it's important to lay the groundwork of this mindset. Just because you happen to be good at something or an expert in something or have a heavy, legal obligation, responsibility in a given area, does not mean that everybody else doesn't know what they're talking about and isn't worth your time. That's a horrible way to think, because we have to, build a society as a society and not by ourselves. So when you're looking at this, I wanted to talk a little bit about, the police side of it, both working with police officers and police officers working with others, because that's a big part of this. We need to get to know each other. We need to talk to our partners in other agencies and realize that just because somebody's not going to do everything you want, or sometimes just because legally they have obligations and they're going to do certain things that you may not like, or from the police side, there's certain things that we have to do because of safety and bigger concerns than maybe you would look at in a school or social work setting. So all of those things exist. We need to talk to each other. We need to figure out, why are you doing it that way? Cut each other some slack, and not be mad about what somebody else wouldn't do, but be grateful for what it is they can and will do. And if we'll start from that position and start reaching out and looking around, there's a lot that can be done and a lot more help that can be offered. So, my position I've talked about a little bit in another video, but basically I'm a detective, and I do, work on and screen felony cases as part of my caseload, but then I have other responsibilities for supporting the victim advocates and working cases with them, working with cases that come from child and family services. And so that makes me accessible, to these social work partners, and that can be a very easy way for them to be able to work with and through the police department when they need to. There's another city in the county here in Salt Lake County that is doing something like what we do, but they're blending it with their school resource officers. And so again, that gives that, law enforcement contact and builds relationships with other agencies, and that's a great way to do it. There's no one way to do this. Patrol officers can reach out and do this and go the extra mile. Sergeants, right? It's really, this is on you that are watching this to go out and make contacts and find people and build relationships so that we can make a better difference. We don't change the world as police officers with handcuffs and a gun. Sometimes we have to arrest people. Sometimes we have to protect people and stop violence. But when we get to that point, there's a whole lot that's broken as a result of the choices of those people that we're then having to deal with in those ways, which makes it even more important that we know how to reach out and bring in these other partners to help the families and the children and make a bigger difference.
Well, I think that goes back again to like networking and building like you said, building the relationships in the community, because that expands the wraparound services being offered, and really kind of building on that. It goes back to teamwork. And have you guys ever seen that motivational poster where one bigger dog is helping like a little dog get onto the counter, and it's like talks about teamwork? It's great, right? It is really teamwork for them. I say that because I had a similar happenstance with my dogs growing up. It was Thanksgiving, and we were all in the dining room having our wonderful Thanksgiving dinner when we had 2 dogs and a cat. My cat decided to get up on the counter and paw over the turkey to the end, And then our other dog kind of helped pull it back down, and they all enjoyed the rest of the turkey and the carcass that was sitting there. And then we had a nice oil stain all over the kitchen. But it's all about the teamwork. Generally, my cat did not like my 2 dogs and didn't want to interact with them. But when it came to food, fish are friends, not food. But in this case, it was really powerful to watch them. And as mad as we wanted to be at them, we still laugh about it to this day, because teamwork makes the dream work, apparently, or gets you the food. And I just taking those people and figuring out that everybody can work together in a common good again. It's fantastic. This is a series of videos that we're completing here. Evan actually called them, I think, a gaggle of
Yes.
videos. Works for me. But we're going to put up on the screen right now the list of the topics that are going to be covered in the next several videos. So you'll see those. And then below in the description area, you're actually going to find links for the following things. One is a survey to take, just to give us feedback. We always love feedback, positive, bad, we want it all. And then there's a quiz. One of the things that we are working on doing is getting credit for everybody that will be viewing these videos. So if you take the quiz, we can prove that you've taken them, and you can get credit for watching these videos separately. And when I say credit for everybody, we're looking for posts, we're looking for any of the officers that need credit for ongoing training, CEUs for social workers, and we're looking into educationally what that looks like as well. So please stick with us, watch these videos. They're going to be super helpful, and you'll get credit for them, of course. So, and then finally, we've got an information and resources link that we're going to have a whole host of information that we're going to be sharing that might be important for you guys to look up or access at any point in time after this. And then finally, what you'll see coming across the screen is also our contact information. I think that's very important for everybody to have. It'll also be in the description below as well. So if there's any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And so we hope that you'll stick with us and give the rest of the training a view.